Okay, this is the start of my campaign. We've got the 4 King's Royal Forces, 4 separate armies, numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's the King's personal army. His troops moved into a position into the surrounding terrain, villages. The white are the French. They basically moved to here by turn 2. They still have to move. But this was the end of turn 1, basically. The Scots are red. Now they're moving first in turn 2, and they moved from this village into this location. So our first battle will be between the Scots and one of the royal armies, Feudal English. This is mine over here, which is Feudal English. I moved from my castle to here. And this up here is another Feudal English Rebel army. I'm Rebel. And he moved from that castle there to here. And that's all the first turn. So again, we're starting the second turn, and the Scots started off by moving down here. As far as random events, we had 2 papal supports. I believe they both went to the English, but the French benefited from it. They got some extra troops from that. There's also some spies. One of the bad things of turn 2 was that I ended up pledging allegiance to the king, and the spies for the French helped me, so I got away with it in turn 1. But turn 2, or no, that was turn 2. But the thing is, I roll it again, and there was no spies to help me, and I spent all my prestige in a challenge with the king to avoid it. So I failed that, and I am now a servant of the king, so he can basically have me attack the other guys. Alright, so we got to fight this battle here, and then the next unit to move will be number 2 for the Royalists, and we'll see what they do at the conclusion of this battle. But this unit issued a challenge. He accepted, so there is definitely a battle here at this village location. See what happens. Look at the armies for the first battle. There we got the Scots kind of stretched out. They have 1 large unit of pikes, which are right there next to the cav. They are the attacker. Of course, they're moving in on the English, which are over here. You can see they got their longbows there, heavy foot. They got a central position of their knights, their general being right here, and more heavy foot, and archers, and some mercenary crossbows. So that's the look of the battle. Okay, folks, I'll tell you the results when they come in. At the end of the first battle, Scots and Feudal English fought against the Royalists, and the only thing left for the Scots is right there in their center. 1/2 of a large pike block. That's all that survived. The English only lost 1 unit of knights and some heavy foot, and that's it. All at the end of the game, too, from that pike unit, just constantly charging forward. There's the losses to the Scots. They lost basically their entire army, most of it in this last turn. So we are still in turn 2. This Royalist unit right here moved from this location down to here to engage in a battle against these French, who are the defender. So that's the next action that was taken. So again, the Royalist forces are on the move here, and this is the battle so far. West side over here, we've got the English deployed. They got 3 units of longbows in this army. And down here is the French, which are taking advantage of that road to engage the English right. And they did swap out some skirmishers for the mercenary crossbows. So that's their army for this campaign. Alright, folks, that's the look of it. That's the conclusion of the second battle. The English were beat. There's their losses. They took 7, and the French took absolutely no losses. So they decimated the English. So yep, English victory. See how that translates on the map. At the bottom of 3 on the campaign map. Right after the English suffered a horrible defeat to the French down here. The French, kind of a glare there, they moved up from this village up into here, and they're offering battle to the weaker of these 2 royal armies, which has been accepted. So there's going to be a battle between this very small army, just a few units, going against the French, which only is down 1 unit of knights. And the Scots fell back after doing a little recruiting up here in the last turn. These guys are following up. Once again, I'm subjected to be the king's servant. He's got me moving up this way to outflank this second rebel force of English, which has fallen back. They've taken some terrible betrayal and desertions going on, so his army has been whittled down by desertion. So he's fallen back to his castle. In hot pursuit are more English Royalist troops, and I believe this is a full army here. There's a big chunk of garrisoned royal troops in the capital left from this army, which is the king's own specific command. He's a full army, so the French are going to be challenged there. They're going to face off against this smaller English army, which they're going to fight next, and probably in the next turn, probably going to face off against this English army, number one. So the French are kicking some ass. The Scots got their ass kicked so far. This rebel army up here is just too much desertion going on to keep them effective, and I'm a subject of the king. So far it looks like the French are the best chance of winning against the English Royalists, and I don't know, the Royalists are the one leading the way right now. Okay, going to fight this battle here and then go into turn 4. Set up for the third battle of the campaign. Yeah, third battle, third turn, before we go into the fourth turn. Here we've got the French deployed. The only thing they're missing is their knights and one of their heavy foot units. And they're all deployed. And the defender being the English, kind of put some terrain here like a gap. And that's all that's in the army. They got their 2 units of knights, preceded by some skirmishers and some heavy foot, bringing up the flank. And they are the defenders. So let's see what happens. The battle. French won decisively, didn't suffer any losses. There's their army. And the English suffered that. They lost their skirmish unit, and they lost another unit of knights. So they're down to like that right there. Cavalry unit, foot unit, that's about it. So they're done. Look at this. That means number 2 has to retreat, and they're going to fall back to the capital, which will put them there. And that would end the turn 3, and the French will start off the next turn in that village there with the king's main army right here. So we'll see what happens in turn 4. Somebody's going to have to challenge the other one. Going to have a battle there. But so yeah, that's the case. Lost all their prestige, about 5 points. Went to the French, who now have a total of 6 prestige. Yeah, they have one of the more highest levels of prestige right now. Here's the start of turn 4. Well, actually, this is the conclusion of the campaign map, part of turn 4. There's the turn order. Basically what happened is these 2 units are going to fight a battle. There's another battle up here between the rebel force, yellow, and one of the English armies. There's going to be a battle there. I moved into that space as well, just for what reason I don't know, but I'm there. I can't really do anything because I'm still subjected to the king, so I'm still his loyal subject. This unit over here moved out to the village to do some recruiting. This royal army up here, I believe it did some recruiting, added some troops. The Scots, they moved out of this castle to this village in hopes of getting some recruiting in the next turn, because these armies are pretty beat. So yeah, so we got 2 battles to fight this turn. That's what's going on. I should look at the battle. This is the English army deployed against the French. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of French going against 9 of the English. That's a full army, untested in battle. King at the head. And the French. So this ought to be a real good battle. 2 big top armies in the campaign so far. The midpoint of this French versus English game, and I just thought I'd show this important turning point in the battle. On either side is done any casualties, but they're getting close to the lines. You got the English who are basically holding back, shooting at the French up on the hill. Basically nothing going on there. The English have advanced their 2 knight units up with the skirmishers. The French are kind of refused their left flank there with the spearmen, so we'll see what develops there. They're definitely in a flanking position on the 2 units of French knights. That's the general. But the English foot troops attempted to charge, and they didn't reach, and that's the disorder on both these units. So the English just finished their turn. We go to the next turn, roll initiative, and this is the turning point. So let me roll initiative here. The white are the French. So 3, 4, and the English have initiative. So they're going to recover that disorder, I think. They have no impetus bonus against the cav. But if the cav charge them, the cav will have impetus. So that's why the infantry charged them first, tried to. No, anyway, I'll probably get rid of that disorder. Okay, folks. Boy, that was one of the better games I've played. Very excited. Very exciting. Anyway, the French lost. They reached their demoralization value, and that was it. The English charged up the hill. In fact, everything on here is English. These 2 are English. We're going to make a move on the defensive position up here. This English knight unit charged from down here up onto the hill, wiped out the crossbowmen. That cohesion test penalty for heavy infantry being fired at by missile fire really paid off. These longbows were firing on the heavy foot over here and wiped them out because of that. So the English took this hill. These French knights did get a flank attack here. Couldn't manage to take out the heavy foot and the English. These English troops basically fell back to protect themselves. And the French general is here. He's got 3 losses in disorder. He just took himself out of position. He was pretty heroic though. He did repel a flank attack and managed to do a lot of damage. He wiped out the English general, in fact. But yeah, that was it. Pretty close. They're in the English losses. So they took quite a few losses themselves, but French were pretty much decimated. 2 units left. Battle here's next. Let's see what it looks like on the table. The defenders, the rebel English, which are over here. And there's their army. Basically got 3 units of heavy foot and 3 units of longbows. That's it. And this is the general. Actually, this is the general. He's got the mounted knight in there, so that's the general. And this is pretty much a full army of Feudal English that they're facing. These guys are moving up to finish them off. And this guy's been suffering from betrayal since the beginning. All their knights are gone. Left them. Probably over there on the other side. Bastards. Alright, folks. I'll give you the results. Army. That's all that's left of them. They lost half of their troops, so that's it. These 2 were lost from the Royalists, so they lost 2 of their archers. That's their army now. I believe that's army number 3. Yeah, that was this battle. So this army here, the Royal Army, lost 2 of its longbow units, and this unit here lost 2 heavy foot and a longbow. So we're at half strength now. So that's what happened there. And they will have to retreat, preferably to a village. We'll put them there. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of turn 4. Anyway, if you're interested in what I'm doing here, it's if you have the Baron's Revolt campaign rules, which are an extra impetus 5, I'm basically doing the same thing, but following the rules as they're listed here. Initiative, the random events, the prestige challenges and stuff. The only thing I really had to change was the fact that in this version of the rules it uses point values to generate your armies. And since there is no point system in Basic Impetus, I'm basically making a conversion type system. In my case, I'm using VBUs. That's how you build your units back into your army. That's what you get when you recruit, and from some certain random events, such as the Papal Intervention, which can give you extra points to your army, it's basically giving you extra VBUs to your army. And that's basically how it works. When you fight a battle, your units are taken out of your army, and they go into what I call the reserve. And whenever you recruit VBUs on the map, which is done at villages, you could spend your turn recruiting. You get so many VBUs. You roll the dice, and it tells you how many VBUs you get for your army. And you could use those on top of whatever you've saved so far to go to your reserve and buy back, basically, units that have been routed in previous games. So a unit with a VBU of 6, if I spend 6 VBUs that I've saved during the campaign, I could get that unit back. So it's basically how it works. Basically, that's how building armies works. If anyone's familiar with the DBA campaign system, it's kind of, I'm adopting some of the ideas from that into this. Not much, but yeah, but that's it. If you're interested, if anybody's interested in what I'm doing, I could send you the copy of the rules I'm working on. I intend to put it up so people can look at it when I'm finished. But yeah, that's the basics so far. Okay, tomorrow, turn 5. Okay, we're about to hit turn 5. Just some quick observations so far on the campaign. It's pretty good. It definitely is a campaign system that will work if you have 2 or more people to play. If you do manage to play this solo, or choose to play it solo, I would recommend that you play with no more than maybe 3 armies, 3 opposing armies at once. Because I'm playing with 5, and I'm doing this solo. And my only complaint would be that in the beginning, when you're rolling for initiative, there is a lot of dice to roll, especially once you start getting your events generated, which are basically anytime somebody rolls a double 1 or a double 2, double 3, etc. when they roll initiative. So, and since the king's forces, which are controlled by one side, one player, has 4 separate armies in this case, because there's 5 players, he's got to roll initiative for 4 different armies. So that's a lot. Like right now, I think I'm rolling 8 different initiatives every turn. So it's kind of cumbersome. It takes a while to go through all the random events and initiative and stuff. But the battles and the moving on the map part, pretty easy. And the record keeping isn't too overwhelming. It's actually pretty easy too. But yeah, that's my first observation so far. Okay, I'm going to get into turn 5 now, I think. Turn 5, and basically no battles this campaign turn. Instead, everybody basically sat back and recruited, trying to recover from the previous battles. This army, army number 4, the king's forces, he recruited too, and he had no damage to his army, so he's got like 20-some extra saved VBU. So this is a pretty powerful army. Can take a lot of losses, and get any losses back fairly quickly. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. One thing that did happen in diplomacy, this English army of rebels and these Scots, they went into an alliance, so they're now friendly with each other. So ideally, if they can get in the same space together, they can support each other in a battle against the English. Yeah, that's the situation. Alright, going to turn 6. And by the way, there's 12 turns to the campaign I'm playing. I might extend that just to play test some things. Okay, turn 6, let's see what happens. French and one of the English armies. And here's the battlefield. And right there we've got the French. They don't have much. They've got a unit of crossbow skirmishers preceding their general, who's a heavy cav knight unit. And they're flanked by some heavy infantry with long spears, which will nullify the impetus of cav, which there's none facing off against them. I think I made an error there. And some more knights coming up the road. And over here we got a full English army. And this one is the king. That's the general anyway. Knights, skirmishers with slings, and backed up by some heavy infantry on the road. More heavy infantry as a reserve here for the longbows up here. 3 units, and flanked by a unit heavy foot. So that's what they're squared off against, those defenders on the hill. This is broken ground, so that won't affect these guys at all. Basically causes disorder if you move in it. These guys are on the road, they're going to ignore it anyway. Same with them up there. The French tried to deploy some good terrain on the board, but that didn't work out too well. The English got rid of one of the some broken terrain, which would nullify the English impetus. And by the way, I am working on some rules to add to this that'll add some flavor to battles where you got a small force going against a big army like that. Basically, you sacrifice, if you're the smaller force and you're going to fight the battle, you sacrifice some prestige to get bonuses on a what I call a stratagem table. And what it is it allows the smaller force to get an opportunity to fight a scenario type battle, such as a raid or an ambush or a surprise attack or defending a defile, etc., which gives them an advantage. For instance, if they were going to surprise the enemy, they'd be able to deploy closer to the enemy and automatically get the first turn and whatever else. But then again, I'm working on these scenarios, so I'm not incorporating them yet into the game. So this is just a straight up battle. But it's definitely an idea to look into. Okay, let's fight this battle and see what happens. French need to win this battle. Point of the battle. Pretty interesting. Thought I'd film it. The French come off the hill. They're engaging the English over here. Their general led the charge and is trying to break through these bowmen, English longbows, but he's having a hell of a time. We'll see what happens with that. There's some English knights that got left behind because the French charged down the road, hit these enemy knights and pushed them all the way back there. Took out a unit of longbows that were on the flank here of the melee. And that's where they're at. And that unit there of English is down 5 losses out of 6, so it's almost gone. And these French are down 4 losses, plus they're disordered, and their VBU is 7. So it's kind of close. We'll see what happens. This is the turn. It was pretty awesome. It usually is with the French. I don't know why, but it turned out to be a French victory, believe it or not. This unit of French crossbows, well, let's see what we got here first. Got a unit of French here, skirmish crossbow, B, and what's left of a heavy unit of long spear, French, heavy foot, and up here is the general of the French. So they basically have 3 units, 1, 2, 3. And the English got whittled down and lost the battle, and they only have 2 units left. So that army has been really severely damaged. They still have their general, which is right there. There's their losses. You can see they needed to lose 7 VBU to lose the battle. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 VBUs, or VDs lost. And the French lost 1 unit of knights. Basically, these crossbowmen, they finished off that English unit of knights, which was down to 1 VBU, and finally took them out. And that cost the English the game. At that point, the French just backed up, withdrew, kept out of charge range, and that was it. The English could not catch them, so the French won. The general broke through this big line of English infantry, wiped them out. Took time, but it was a great game. So the English won, so they get all the prestige of the king. It's going to really change the campaign a little bit. Okay, so that's the battle. Recap here. Basically, campaign turn 5, everybody didn't do much. They all kind of sat back and tried to get some recruiting going. This army here did leave a garrison back in this castle, so the bad guys can't go in there now. Turn 6, I think I skipped that. Campaign turn 6 in the map. This army here did engage these yellows in a battle, but they decided to retreat, fall back, so there was no battle fought. They lost all their prestige for that. Didn't have any. I think they had 1, so that's gone. This army up here moved out of the castle after leaving the garrison of 4 VBU and engaged the Scots, who were here in this village. They also decided to pull back, so they retreated from the battle as well. What these guys here, they've basically made a little peace between themselves. They're hoping to link up, perhaps back in this castle here, and be one army. I do have some rules for that, where if they're engaged, if they're in the same space, they're on the same side, if they are attacked, these two armies can combine into two separate commands for a battle. So these guys could both be in a single battle fighting against whoever attacks them. So that's what they're thinking. They're trying to build up their armies. So until then, they're going to link up and see what happens. Of course, I'm still a servant, just wandering around doing nothing. Here I am in a village. I forced march, I believe, from up here. Moved to two spaces down to here in this village. For what reason, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to attack one of these guys or not. I really don't want to. But we'll see what happens. I'm a subject of the king, so if he wants me to, I'm gonna. Down here, this was the battle we just fought. This army, number 1, moved from this village into this village where the French were located. And we fought that marvelous little battle you just saw. And the English now have to retreat. And I'll put them back here. So they got 2 units, and that's it. They're going to have to do some recruiting. And here's where the French are. Good victory. So that's turns 5 and 6, and so far, that's what it looks like. Maybe I'll do turn 7 tonight, I don't know. Probably tomorrow. Okay, so that's it. And like I said, it's a 12-turn campaign, so we're getting close now. And one more thing is that if no one fails to coronate and become the new king by taking this castle and passing a prestige challenge and becoming king, when the campaign ends, turn 12, the one with the most prestige points at the end is declared the winner. And so far, this guy here, the French, has the most prestige. I think he has 6, and the king has 0 at this point because he lost this battle pretty bad. And yeah, that's about it. He'd actually win if the campaign ended right now. Okay, folks, turn 7 coming up. Here we are at turn 7. That was the turn order. I was first. Scots were second. The second Royalist army was third, and so on down the line. I made all the moves, did all their actions. Basically, they all pretty much sat back and recruited. In the case of number 1 and the French here, they recruited. These third and fourth armies of Royalists move in to attack the Scots and the Yellows, who retreated, so there's no battles there. These two armies, if you remember, are in peace with each other, so they could join up in a battle. They also recruited, so they got a little bit extra troops added to their armies. Not much. I think these are 2 full armies, except this one, who left some troops behind here. I did manage to break free of my obligations to the king, miraculously. There was a lot of prestige loss on the king after this battle, so I had an advantage there, gained some prestige of my own, and I broke free. So I'm now free to do some battle against the king. So the first thing I did is move into the capital to besiege it. He moved in his second army, full army, to prevent that. So there's going to be a battle here between my army and his army. 2 Feudal English armies, full strength. So that'll be interesting. So that's the only battle for turn 7. These 2 armies are going to match up outside the capital. That's my army over here on this side, deployed. I'm the defender, and there's the attacking English. Let's see what we got going here. I got my longbows and my heavy cav, and some heavy foot, my crossbows. That's the only difference between our armies. I swapped out a longbow for a crossbow, and more longbows. And here's my, that's actually my general. Followed up by some more heavy foot. We're going to head up the road, and I deployed first, so let's see what he did. He definitely occupied this hill. That's his general, heavy knights. He's got the longbows up here. He might sit back, I don't know, but he's got his cavalry here. Probably going to make an attack against my infantry down here. I can see he's going to hold this road. My plan was to get these guys on the road, swiftly move down there, and try and get on a flank, but he's got it well secured with the heavy foot and longbows, so I don't know if that's going to pull off or not. And it could be that's what he's going to do here with his heavy cav. While he's pinning me, he's going to attack my center here with my heavy foot, try and break through. I don't know. Alright, folks, so this is an important battle, my first battle for my army anyway. See what happens. Turn 8, basically I got attacked, so I had to retreat out of here right away. I was last in the turn sequence for turn 8, so that sucked. So I had to fall back and retreat to this village here, because I'm not going to face off against a full army. He's totally rebuilt now. I'm thinking maybe in the French can get something going here. Join up or something. Also up here, number 3 moved into the castle area, occupied by the Scots and these Rebel English, who each have small armies really, but they're hoping to combine. So there's going to be a battle here of the Scots and rebellious English going against a full English army. So we'll see how that turns out. So that's for turn 8. And he moved out of the capital to reinforce himself in the next turn. He remained in place, or actually he reinforced as well. So that's turn 8. Okay folks, let's check out this next battle. Here we got the combined forces of the rebellious English with the Scots. The Scots are, where are they? The Scots are on the left wing of the English army. That's this pike block, the nobles and their skirmishers. So these are all the Scots. From here on down, it's all English. And they got their longbows, their 2 units of knights, the general being in the center on the road, and then 2 more units of longbows and some heavy foot up on the hill. Going against them, we got the full Royalist force. They got their mercenary crossbows down here. They got some heavy foot in the center, skirmishers up here with slings, and we got their knights in the back as a reserve. So this ought to be interesting, and that's the general. And bringing up the left flank, we have 2 units of longbows going into some muddy fields. So that's an obstacle, by the way. So there we go. And see what the end, and that was pretty fun. The French, not the French, the Scots and the English rebels, they won. There's the English losses, the Royalists. It was all that. That's what killed it at the end of the game. They lost 3 VDs for losing that knight unit. So all they have left in that army is that unit and this unit of heavy foot. That's what they've been taken down to. The Scots, basically that's all they have is their nobles. They lost their 2 heavy foot and skirmishers, and the English rebels, this is what they have left. So, yeah, that's their force. They didn't fare too bad. They lost some of their archers. That's about it. Good game. The Scots really didn't do as well as I'd hoped. But they did win at the end. They took out that last knight unit, so they made a comeback there. But the Rebel English there to work their way down the road, spearheading with the knights. That's really what done the game for them. Did a lot of carnage, as you can see. And mediocre performance from the Royalists, really. They didn't do much. Most of the damage they did was against the Scots. They took out one of the longbows from over here. The Rebel shooting was superb. They took out the Royalist shooters, archers, no problem. So that was pretty good. Okay, so that's that battle. Which means in our map, Army 3, which was just defeated, has to retreat, and it would go there. Only other place that actually could go here. I'm going to put him there, just in case it gets attacked again. So this little combined army worked pretty well so far for the Alliance. Okay, folks, that's pretty much the end of turn 8. There was only one battle, and that was it. Okay, I guess we'll go to turn 9. So far, so good. Making a comeback here for the Rebels.